His acting career began at the age of 11 months and was over, for the most part, by the time he was 12. But Dickie Moore endeared himself to an entire nation as one of the very popular Our Gang kids. That program is still seen in reruns till this very day around the country. It might seem that being a child star was a wonderful experience. Not so according to Dick, or Dickie as he used to be known. In his new book, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, Don't Have Sex or Take the Car, he recounts the exploitation of child actors and what effect it had on them later in life, and we're delighted to welcome my dear friend back to Live at 5.
Thank you, Sue. I can't tell you how happy I am.
Well, you look darn good, let me
so
just
do you.
say. Thank you. I might add that Our Gang experience was about 1.5 years out of your life. So
yes.
as we run some footage of that and get that out of the way, we might talk about a recent meeting you had when you interviewed Stymie. And he was your best friend during Our Gang. And tell us a little about the meeting, because to me it was a little sad.
Well, when we were children, Stymie was my best friend, and because I discovered in doing the book and interviewing 31 of my contemporaries, including Stymie, many of whom I hadn't seen for 50 years, that we were all very isolated. But he was the only one that came over to the house, and whose house I went to, and we'd spend the night together. And I hadn't seen him for 52 years. And I tracked him down, as I did the others, and we spent 2 evenings together doing interviews for the book. And when it was all over, I said, Stymie, is there anything that you would like to say that we haven't covered? Because he wanted to be called Stymie, not Matthew. And he said, yes, you were my favorite person, and I know that I was yours because we'd sent these messages to each other. He said, and it just bothers me that we don't get to see each other except once every 50 years. And my heart sank, and we vowed that we would maintain the friendship, as I managed to do with so many of the others that I saw in writing the book. And 2 weeks later, Stymie was dead. And he'd given me a picture that he didn't sign, and I wanted so much to have that connection with him. We were very special in each other's lives.
Well, be thankful at least you had the meeting.
Yes.
Among the 31 or so people that you talked to, and I might add that they included Shirley Temple, Mickey Rooney, Natalie Wood, Jackie Coogan, Jane Powell, Donald O'Connor, on and on. Was there a common thread?
That's one of the things I wanted to know, because we'd all worked with the greatest names in the world, the great stars, and I knew I had opinions about them, and I wondered if they did, and I wondered how they felt about their money, if they had any, if they were as sexually backward and shy as I had been. I wondered how they felt about each other and about their parents, and I think Natalie summed up the common thread. She said we were very intelligent, we were very energetic. She said, and she was talking for herself, she said, I was very shy and very lonely, and there was no grown-up I could in any way confide in. And that was the most common thread, I think.
And you couldn't really confide in each other either, because you really weren't close.
We were all very isolated. Shirley Temple told me that she thought that everybody worked. She thought all children worked. Jack Coogan knew better, and so did some others, but many of us thought that that was really all there was. And we were in competition, too, of course.
Yes.
Except for Shirley, there was a big feeling of competition, and friendships were not encouraged.
Tell me a little about the competition. Was the friendships that weren't encouraged, was that by the parents or the studios? Which way was it, the competition?
Well, I think mostly by the parents. But also, now Jane Powell, for example, when she became a young star at age 13, she took singing lessons. She spent 3 hours at the studio every day. She went home, she acted and performed. And that was all her life. I mean, on New Year's Eve, she sang at L.B. Mayer's party for his guests. She never had a date.
Shirley Temple and Jane Withers did several films together. This was another section of the book that moved me. They remember their childhoods differently.
Oh, yes.
Jane Withers with a little bit more bitterness or disappointment.
Well, I think Jane was disappointed in the fact that she was not permitted to associate with Shirley. But Jane had a very good home life compared with most of our group. But she told me that, and Shirley didn't remember any of this because she didn't know it all. Jane told me that she was asked to wash her hands before they went into a scene together, and yes, that did hurt her.
You guys were expected to be letter perfect in your scripts on the set. Did you feel that pressure to be perfect away from the set?
Oh, sure. We always had to be perfect in every way, including getting parts, so that a lot of us were the support of our families, and sometimes the studios. And we always knew our lines, incidentally, and everybody else's, which is why I think most adults don't like to work with kids. W.C. Fields really didn't like to work with us at all. There are a lot of stories about that.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, we are now getting what you call the old cut signal, and I just want to ask one thing. Do you feel more normal after having written this book?
Yeah.
You do?
It's been wonderful for me, and the reaction that I've gotten from other people has been wonderful. Rex Reed said the book was a wonderful mystery story, and I was happy about that, but usually when you write a mystery story, you know what you're going to do ahead of time, but I learned about the characters as I went along, and about myself, and it has been a catharsis.
Well, this is good to hear, Dick. Nice to see you again. And viewers, may I remind you, the name of the book is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and here's a man who worked with the greats: Cary Grant, James Cagney, Gary Cooper, Barbara Stanwyck, Spencer Tracy, Marlene Dietrich, W.C. Fields, Paul Muni, all of them. The book is a delight. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Okay.